All right. Hey, look, most CEOs think their biggest growth challenge is sales. But what if the real bottleneck is people, systems, and HR strategy? Today, we're talking with Intrapreneur David Horbenko from Insperity about how smart companies turn HR from a cost center into a growth engine. David, welcome to the Go4CEO channel. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome, brother. Well, hey, man, looking forward to this interview. We were introduced to a mutual friend and a gentleman that just became president of a company as an entrepreneur as well. So it's kind of cool, man. I love these interviews because I think our community really not only enjoys CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs, but the entrepreneurs because you are special because, hey, no company grows just by one person, right? Yeah, they could probably get to 100,000, maybe 200,000, but you don't get to millions of dollars unless you have talented people like yourself building inside of companies and building something special. So tell us a little bit about the beginning side of kind of how you got into this PEO HR strategy world. Take it away.
Yeah, thanks for having me, John. Appreciate you. So it's been a long run, man. I started just under 20 years ago selling small business payroll for a big company. And I learned a lot, and it was a grind. It was a tough role. But boy, did I learn a lot. Met with a lot of companies. It was very transactional sale, small business. So you're meeting with a ton of businesses. These are smaller deals, so your goal is to really get to, two, three companies to sign up a week, which is a lot, but it's a perfect way to learn the business to business world and get comfortable talking to people and talking to strangers about your product or your solution. So and then from there I grew in the industry, did different things. Spent some time, spent a lot of time there. Did a brief stint at a smaller organization, and then got a feel for what it would be like to maybe build more of a relationship type business within the HR and payroll and benefit space. And I had a good friend at Insperity, and I had been in contact with him for a while, and I finally pulled the trigger, gave him a call, and said, "Hey, let's talk about Insperity." So I think we set up a call for an hour, and I think after the first 15, 20 minutes, I was like, I mean, if half of what you tell me is true, then I'm in. And that was nearly 7 years ago. So I've been fortunate to build a relationship-based business within Insperity, and really you're allowed to kind of build your own book of business and your own clients underneath the umbrella that is Insperity, which is one of the pioneers of the HR services space, co-founded and still CEO, Paul Servati, who really came in just like what you said when you introed this to say, hey, your people are a driver for success and not a cost center. You could have the best product or service in the world, but if you don't have the right people in the right places doing the right things, you're not going to go anywhere. Like you just said, like you're going to hit a wall and it's not going to work out. And so that philosophy drew me to Insperity, a relationship based sale, if you will, drew me to Insperity and the ability to kind of build your own business underneath the umbrella of Insperity because we are so referral based, and a big part of that is we are a premium HR service. We're not for everybody, but we do have a broad range of working with companies as low as 5 employees all the way up to 5,000 plus employees. So that's been most of my journey has just really been wanting to help the small to mid-sized business community. I did some work on sort of enterprise level at some points in my career and still do a little bit. But primarily the sweet spot's always going to be the small to medium-sized family businesses, private equity backed. I mean, of course, a lot of companies are that way now, but they're folks that truly care about their people. They want to scale the business. They want to take care of everybody that's involved, and they're all bought into the mission, vision, and values of the organization. So that's why I love what I do. And it'll be 7 years in July, so I'm hoping for another 7 years after that.
Awesome, brother. Well, look, the baseline of what you built, right? Cutting your teeth, knocking on doors, three a day. That's a tough task, right? One in the morning, one at noon, and one at in the afternoon. It would be an awesome rhythm to close.
Two,
But
three a week, but yeah,
oh, 2, 3 a week. Oh, okay. I
yeah,
thought you said I caught 2, 3 to say I was up in the level for you, man. So it's
yeah.
uh, awesome, awesome. But look, obviously that training ground, as an entrepreneur, really kind of sets the stage, right? So I'd love to go down the fact that, in those times of initial growth, and it could have been from product knowledge to sales strategy to your own rhythms and things that you were developing. Was there a mentor in your life, someone that kind of grabbed you by the shoulder and said, "Hey, David, we got to go this route, and this is some of the activities that you should be doing"? Because I really like that foundation that you had, right? A lot of people want to jump to like, "Hey, I need to be a manager. I need to be this." Like you haven't cut your teeth at anything, gal or guy. So I'd love to share with the community, what did that look like? If you can take us back to some of those years of, knocking on the doors and stuff like that. What were you learning, and who might have been a mentor?
I mean, I've had a few mentors over the years. I don't know if one necessarily jumps out at me.
Mhm.
I would say, the leadership at Insperity and some partners that I've worked with along the way have been um, crucial. I think a turning point was when I just kind of fell into the culture of Insperity and started to truly understand that this is a relationship-based business. It's not transactional, so it is different. And boy, that was an adjustment for me, because you really got to get away from the trying to sell something to somebody, and we're really not selling anything over here. I am simply a tour guide. If you're interested in looking at an Insperity, I can show you around. If you want to buy, great. If not, no big deal. We'll go our separate ways. But maybe along the way, we still become friends and or business partners, right? So, here we're true advisors. So I would shout out like people like Joe Guerreri, who hired me at Insperity, Josh Samples, who brought me in at Insperity, Ted Stone, who's been my manager now for nearly the entire time at Insperity, and then someone like Maury Elstein, who's been around a long, long time. He runs his own networking community, and I had lunch with him shortly after I had started in 2019. And one of the biggest things he told me is you gotta start learning how to make introductions for people, and people are going to be drawn to you if you do that. And Maury Elstein's been around a long, long time. He's very famous in the networking community in Chicago, and although I don't know him super well, the few times that I've that one lunch at Chicago Cut Steakhouse, I'll never forget. So Maury, if you're watching, man, I still appreciate you. I know I see you every now and again, but that was really the foundation for my success at Insperity, and not just my professional success, but personal success, and just getting to a place where like you should want to help people out. Like this should be fun. It shouldn't be a grind. Like, money is not everything in the world. Like, yeah, you want to make some money and you want to take care of you and your family and all that jazz, but like if you don't like what you're doing, what are you doing? Life is too short. Especially as you get older, you start to see that it becomes more prevalent, right? So, I look at it like you gotta serve others, man. Like I just got a text last night, Friday night at 9 o'clock last night. A friend of mine has been working really, really hard to buy a business as part of a search fund, and she was kind of starting to get to a point where it was like a getting to a deadline, and she was able to lock in an LOI with the help of an attorney friend of mine who I had introduced for her. So, and that might not turn into anything for me, but that means the world to me. So I love doing that. I love connecting the right people, and uh, yeah, I don't know where we were going with that, but man,
No, no,
that's what it's all about. Like, and especially meeting someone like you, John. Like, that's just what it's all about. You know.
I love no.
They're
Look,
not gonna put on your gravestone, top sales guy or company. Like Do you, or would you want that, right?
No, I agree, and that's a deeper thought, right? A deeper feeling. So let's dig into that, right? I was telling you off camera, I just spent some time at a Blackhawks game with first, second, third grade friends, and part of my book, right, the 4A formula talks about alignment in chapter 2, and that's how I built it. I mean, I'm a non-college kid. 2.8 GPA, as they say in high school. Got out early, so I actually took some extra classes just to get out early. I didn't like school much. I was entrepreneurial, started that type of stuff, soccer guy, all this type of things. But long story short, I resonate with the feeling that you're having. Just sharing that, right? Is that it's tough for the entrepreneur mindset to not be swayed to the transactional volume that you have to do, right? Because every business needs money, right? I mean, that's the fact. And you
Yeah.
have to sell something, or else you're going to have some performance reviews to talk about. But, can you put it in a context? So let's go deeper. How did you start to figure out your own rhythm of that? Because today you meet two, three people, and they may be ideal clients, but man, they're not going to buy from you, especially in your world, right away, right? I'm not changing a whole HR system or
Yeah.
PO thing that we're doing. So tell us what maybe a couple things that people can take from this that you started to say to yourself, okay, hey, this may not be a sale for 6 months. How do I cultivate that relationship? How do I sprinkle in referrals from my own network to help that person first and build that date that bank account of resonance with that person?
Yeah, great question. Just ask questions. It's not about you. So I would say, you know, and also be curious. So that goes along the line with just ask questions, be genuinely curious, and be interested in their business. And if you're not like feeling it or it's not like you can just like, you know, just walk away too. Like it's okay. Like if it's not like if you don't feel like there's a vibe there or you're connecting, like a lot of times I just kind of look at it like, well, I mean, this isn't really going to go anywhere. So you can just walk away. But the idea is like this is still helpful for me to learn more about who you are, what you do. Like, why'd you get into this? Why are you running your own business? That's crazy. It is a very different world to be running your own company that's operating at 15, 20 plus $1 million in revenue. What's that like? What are you guys trying to accomplish? What are the biggest things that you want to hit on in the next 12 to 18 months? Try to understand what's the end goal here. You trying to like leave a legacy and maybe have one of your kids take this over. You want to sell it. What do you want to do with this thing as you continue to grow it? Because you can't take it with you, right? So it's like just ask questions, be genuinely curious, find out what they're trying to accomplish, what's going to prevent them from getting there, and then that can then help to answer your question, loop in, oh, yeah, you know what? I actually know somebody that can help you out here because that would help this and then that. So that's how you can be a part of their, like, kind of be someone that's out there in their periphery. So when that they do need some help on the HR side, hopefully they'll reach out to me. And that's really all you're doing is just saying, hey, I can help you. I think I know someone here. So that's really what I've done to kind of cultivate. And then also just meet a ton of people, go to a lot of events, do a lot of different things. You want to do things that interest you. And I know a lot of it is work and we all got other things to do outside of that. But that's what you got to do is get out there, meet more people, ask questions, connect with some people, and then just help them out.
It's interesting. You had slightly said it real quick. Be interested, not so much interesting, right? And it's
Yeah.
hard sometimes, right? If you have outgoing personalities, if you're not an introvert, but you're an extrovert, you could tend to be the guy that or gal that wants to be interesting, right? And to slow yourself down. So I totally relate, man. The way that you're sharing this is slowing yourself down, being interested in, and even last night with these friends, I'll just go back to it, people that I haven't seen sometimes, for 10, 15, 30 years, right? In this case, really kind of going down to like, hey, where are you at right now? What's going on? So what have you been able to do? What's the traveling like? One of the guys, I learned that he likes to go to national parks with his wife. I learned that he hasn't had a natural born kid of his own, and he's in his late 40s. And there's a little bit of, it felt like a little bit of a turmoil thing that's going on, but he also felt like what he's done for his wife's kid that she had separately, that he's invested in that, right? And stuff like that. So, and he volunteers. Like today, he's at a senior home that I learned that on a Saturday, he goes volunteers for senior home and stuff. So, I mean, I'm just getting goosebumps because it's like, it's every person is different, and it motivates them in a different way. And like you said, that turns into opportunity if you're listening, right? So, from an entrepreneur standpoint, I love that component of it. Um, and it's nice, right? So, let's turn it into this conversation of going deep that way, understanding what you just said, the questions that you're asking, the interested mode that you're in. How do you combat that with, hey, your boss is over here saying, hey, we're the sales, buddy. What's going on? The timeline. So, what have you learned in that aspect of your entrepreneurial journey of kind of weighing those things and having maybe a pipeline, if you could talk about the way that you manage that, those types of things?
Hey, that's a great question. That's at the end of the day, you got to be able to keep your seat wherever you're at. So know your numbers, um, like the back of your hand. You have to, right? So I know that I need to meet with 10 business owners a month. Out of those 10, maybe two or three will want to go through a financial analysis with us, and then one of every four or five will sign up, and then the rest, might sign up at a later date or maybe never at all. So as long as I'm sticking to knowing those numbers and knowing that I'm meeting with not just the 10 people, but genuinely people that are interested in learning more about Insperity, then I know my pipe, then I know the rest is going to follow. So there's definitely points where you might have to put a little bit more, like if you feel like get a sense that like maybe your stuff's drying up or you just went through, there's peaks and valleys, right? So maybe you went through a peak, you brought in a couple new clients. And so you're probably spending a lot of time, bringing in some new clients and maybe on the front end of your pipeline on the new stuff kind of fell behind. So there's definitely windows where if you kind of sense that you're going back down, that you got to really put in extra focus. Okay, I'm gonna still, uh, I'm gonna aggressively prospect, but I do it in a way where it's like I'd rather get introduced. So I'm going to start asking people for introductions. And a lot of these people, by the way, I've already made a lot of introductions for.
Mhm.
So that's important, John, is like I'm already talking to people that I've already made intros for, or maybe they've gotten new clients for me. So I'm going to call them up and say, hey, I could use a couple more meetings this month. Have you run across anybody? I'll look at their LinkedIn, make it easy for them. Do you know this person or this person? Like this could be good for me. So you want to stay focused on that and get your clients because ultimately the clients are the most fun. I mean, I've been very fortunate in my 7 years here to build a really nice book of clients, and they're always going to be my best referral partners. And so don't be afraid to ask your own clients if you got the book. I certainly do, and yeah, I mean, it all comes back around, man. So like, so just stay laser focused, know your numbers, and then just make sure that you are doing all the right things and your focus is where it should be. Because I do a lot of different things, but my focus is always going to be on bringing in new clients to the Insperity HR solution because it's the best solution available in the marketplace. So yeah,
I love that last line, man. You're convinced, and unless you're convinced, you're not convincing, right? So
yeah.
I love that stuff, and that's what I genuinely look for too, right? Is when I'm out there in the market, my day to day is actually commercial banking and building relationships and stuff like that. So I had a question that came up in my mind. For me, over the last few years, I actually learned kind of a technique per se, I guess a process. I would ask my clients, and I learned this from a gentleman that became a bit of a mentor at my last bank. He said, go to your AP and AR best vendors and best clients of your current clients and ask them, hey, who do you know that's a CEO founder in my case for commercial banking and lending and all that stuff, and have that client introduce you, right? Is that similar in your world? Are you asking a certain criteria? Are you saying to them more like, hey, do they have clients or vendors that they work with that have HR connections? Or what would be the best way in that approach, taking off of what I just said for you?
Yeah, what do you mean by AP and AR?
So accounts payable and accounts receivable. So when I look at
Oh,
that
okay.
as a banker, I go,
Got
oh,
it.
okay, look, you've got 14 vendors that you're paying, right? And two of the vendors are really big supply houses, and you rely on them. So you probably have a pretty good relationship with them, Mr. and Mrs. Business Owner. Would you mind making an introduction to the CEO or founder? And that's kind of what I found to be something that was really engaging for me, for my clients that it would introduce me. So I'm trying to see, is there anything that you pick out within kind of their business world that you say, hey, that CEO or that HR person is the best way to connect you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say you want to make sure that you're sharing your ideal candidate, but doing it in a way where it's like it kind of matches along with what they're doing. So you got to know like what whoever you're asking, like what they do on a day to day. Understand that. And I'll share what I do, right? I already shared you with, I got to meet with 10 companies a month, right? So ideally 2 to 3 owners, 5+ employees that are interested in talking HR. Really, that's all I need. But I'll go a little bit further with asking for introduction because I want to know like, hey, do you have anybody that's like got a getting better agenda or they are trying to grow the company? They're trying to grow from 5 to 10 employees. Anybody that's been getting caught on some, admin compliance stuff or they're complaining about, or maybe they just got a new a round of funding and they're trying to hire a bunch of people. I want to talk to people like that. Um, people that are, a little bit more kind of in our space industry wise. So we pretty much work with anybody in any industries except restaurant or retail. But our stuff tends to work more on the professional services side, a little bit more, you know, 10, 20, 30 employees, tech company. A lot of AI companies now are coming to us. Light manufacturers can be good if it's like good, clean facilities and they care about their people. So I'm looking for a specific more like what they're trying to do with the company, what's the company's mindset, getting better agenda, growing the company, trying to get more funding, hiring more people, maybe trying to come up with a new strategy to attract or retain really good talent. And then I need the philosophy of the person to be my people are a driver for success and not a cost center. Those are the people I'm looking to meet. And it's got to be CEOs, founders, owners. Um, those are the people that I want to meet with. So yeah, make sure you're identifying that right, but also come alongside what these people are doing. Like, hey, I know you're talking to this kind of group. Maybe these are some questions that like can come up sometimes. Like you want to really personalize it, and that's how you. I mean, that's how you continue to build. Because also, like, here's the thing, John. Like, in my previous roles, like you would sell, like you bring in all these companies or whatever. But the reality is, like, the clients really didn't stick, or there wasn't. It wasn't like super rewarding because like there wasn't a relationship there afterwards. You just moved on. And also, it was probably people that you didn't really care to like hang out with or talk to, right? So, Insperity is unique in the sense that, I'm not saying I'm best friends with every client. Of course, that's not going to happen, but you're naturally going to draw at least half or the majority of the clients that you work with can tend to make really great business partners um, and you can watch and I get to watch our service team help grow them and continue to grow their business while I kind of sit on the periphery and maybe take them to a Cubs game or a Hawks game every now and again. But then I don't have to service it, which is awesome because our team is amazing and that's what makes Insperity. So that's the rewarding part is like I genuinely want to help these people. I'm not trying to sell you anything, and so it's like I just want to know like who needs help, and that's all I'm trying to find is like if you've hit kind of a point where there's some obstacles that's preventing you from getting to where you need to be, I want to talk to you.
The last few minutes, Go4CEO community, I hope that you replay it because David is really sharing you the inside scoop of what's in his brain when he's working with clients, right? When he's developing these relationships. And yeah, he happens to have a component of a great service in the back end, right? But that relationship, finding out what his clients are, really enjoy. It could be a Blackhawks game, could be golf, could be, going to a show of some kind. And that's where the magic happens, right? I will
Yeah.
say the guys that I know and gals that I know that are at the top of their game as an entrepreneur, right? Um, they have relationships that I'm not saying that you would ever leave Insperity, but when you leave, what's interesting when you look in the rearview mirror and go, oh, there's 5 or 6 or 7 clients that are coming with me. That's a pretty cool feeling. And something that you start to see the big players have is those relationships are so tight that they don't join necessarily always the company, they join the entrepreneur that's at the company, right? So really cool stuff. So awesome. We've talked about leadership, we've talked about mentors, we've talked about strategy and kind of the process that you take and your mindset of doing what you do. Let's talk about some of the ops side, right? Because I know as sales guys, we like to be, schmoozing, drinking, having fun, building relationships that we talk about. What are some of the things that you've had to learn operationally? Even though you have a great team at Insperity, that back end office, what are some of the clues that you could share with an entrepreneur that they have to know because the lights of getting clients is awesome, but if you mess up the back end, that'll also ruin you too. So any wisdom on that?
Yeah, have the right system in place because you got to move fast. I think that especially with small and medium sized business owners, if you're not moving fast enough, somebody else is. And eventually it's going to negatively impact your current clients and your ability to bring in new clients, and your ability to work with partners. If you're really slow on response time or um, just with general internal processes that it's going to negatively impact the business in a lot of ways. Um, So I would just say, yeah, like make sure your system's on point and honestly, fast always wins. If you can move faster than your competition, then you'll win. I mean, people want things now. I
Yeah.
can order, I mean, look at the world that we're in. I mean, I could order stuff on Amazon and get it. What time is it? 10:30. I can get it here by 2 or 3, right? Like it's crazy, you know. So yeah, move fast. That's the biggest thing I would say operationally that I've learned.
Well, would you say too that this quote resonates? Time kills all deals.
There you go.
Yeah, man. It's so crazy. When I got into the financial world about 16 years ago, I sold my business in '09, got married, all that type of stuff, got into, into the banking world. And I'm like, man, one of the things that I realized, even though I was a business owner and had an automotive business, so it was kind of a delivery concierge buying service for cars, it didn't hit me until being a banker on the other side of serving someone in that capacity that I needed to deliver with speed, accuracy, obviously, and define the way that they wanted to be delivered. But you're right, man. That speed is key. So, what are some of the things that you do internally? Like, are you taking care of the people that take care of you, right? What's the little secret that you do? Even, you build relationships with your clients, but on the back office, is there 1 or 2 people that you've identified throughout your 7-year career at Insperity where you go, oh, you know what, Alice, she's amazing, man. I need to buy her a gift card for just being her Alice, right? Or maybe it's her birthday or whatever, or just something nice with it. But any stories like that that have kind of resonated that have helped build your entrepreneurial career?
I mean, we take really great care of our service teams here, and certainly, you know, you wanna recognize that. So if you there's definitely a couple of situations that'll come up with your clients where our service team goes above and beyond. So make it a point, send a note or if it warrants it, maybe drop a note to their direct manager to be like, hey, I just wanted to tell you, Al, this situation came up with my client and Al's jumped on it and it was done by noon. And boy, I tell you that went a long way. I have a relationship with the client. And naturally, they eventually establish a relationship with their HR specialist at Insperity also, just to be clear. So, and then they can get into things that I don't want to know. And that's the reason that they're hiring Insperity, right? So, you don't tell me some of those employee issues that you're having, you tell your HR person, just like you tell a therapist and maybe not necessarily me some things, right? So it's kind of that way. But, yeah, I would just say like be aware of that. Like, we're all human beings. Like maybe go out of your way and yeah, buy a gift card or figure out like what they like or if they like, Dunkin' Donuts all the time, you notice that, pick up a Dunkin' Donuts gift card. I know I'm a big Dunkin' guy, so just small things like that. And I would also so for me what I think is important too is you constantly are like have however you want to organize it, but you have to have organization in terms of like who your all your clients maybe write a couple notes or maybe like one of your clients said I'm having a baby in May, maybe make a note of that. Maybe pick something up for that or like my best partners, I'll always keep in kind of organized in a folder as well. So I'm constantly kind of going through my partners and my clients and my prospects to stay in touch and stay visible. Because a lot of times it's like what you said, I'm not going to necessarily move everything right away just because I met you at a networking event and we seem to hit it off. I'm not going to just be like, cool, I'll just give you all the HR and the payroll and the benefits and everything tomorrow. Like, doesn't work that way. So you just want to stay in front of people, just like anybody does. I would say like real estate agents would be a great example. You're not gonna just be like, "Hey, do you want to buy a house?" I mean, that's like kind of a once or twice or in a lifetime thing. So you're just getting in front of the right people, so that when the day does come, when they're ready, they'll say, "Oh, I'll email that person. I met them and." They've provided me with some nice newsletters or an email list or whatever, so they remember them. So that's all I do is I just want to stay in front of people and take care of them also too. Sometimes people don't want to be bothered. Make a note of that, man. So yeah.
No, you know what? You're sharing a masterclass value type interview here, right? Because to me, entrepreneurs are so key. And at the front of the house is right the sales, the marketing, the advertising, and what's the company doing to build the brand? Obviously, you've mentioned Insperity quite a few times, and that CEO, founder, leader still there, believing in the company, believing in the people, and then the layers of people that you mentioned when you first started, and the gentleman that's still even your boss at this time for so long. Man, it's culture, it's teamwork, and all these types of things, and that builds entrepreneurs within there, and I love that part of it. I think a lot of people miss that, and when there's a lot of churn, there's a problem, right? There's a problem there because you start to see like, hey, these companies aren't retaining; they're just kind of churning and burning these people, and they're either going to go out of business or that'll be their model, and that's fine. But there's going to probably be some ill will in the industry or in the marketplace that talks about them in a certain way that you don't want to be talked about. So, really awesome stuff. So, all right, look, as an entrepreneur, there's still some guidelines, right? There's not the pressure of like, hey, man, this business, but there's still that pressure within. So, tell us a little bit about kind of how you handle your own goals. Maybe the company creeps up those goals every year, 10%, 20%, 30%, and starts to put some pressure on you. How have you dealt with that? Just understanding like, hey, man, this year they really want a lot out of me. And I thought I had a pretty dang good year last year. So
Yeah.
that type of mindset, right? So
Yeah, it's never gonna go away. But without pressure, what was that Joe Madden quote, man? God, I forget that now. But
diamonds or something, or
it's kind of like it was kind of like basically saying like, what's the point if there's no pressure?
yeah,
It's not important. So
yeah.
you should have some pressure. You should have some nervousness. Otherwise, you're not doing something that's challenging you. And if you're not getting challenged, you're not growing. And if you're not growing, you're dying. So I think you should welcome that. I am not or someone that's maybe shied away from public speaking, and now I'm doing that more often than not. And I don't like it. It's hard, and I get nervous, and I'm sweating, and I could easily be like in those situations. A lot of those I can easily be like, hey, I'm not feeling it and not do it. But I force myself to do it. And so that's what I would say for people that maybe want to shy away from that or get nervous about it, like embrace the pressure. Or if you're in the military, embrace the suck. Like like, you know, there was a story about Jocko Willink, and he was out on a hunting trip, and it was just a brutal hike. Probably hunting elk, you know, and it was just a brutal, 3, 4 day hike that they had to do, and they all get in a huddle, and they're all looking around at each other, and they're kind of taking a break, and he's like, you know what's gonna suck is when this doesn't suck anymore. And like he loves it, and he's got a big smile on his face, and he loves it. And that's the whole point of what we're doing is because when you come out the other side, how much better are you for it? So that's what I would say for people like that is to embrace it, but have a plan, right? Know what you're supposed to do, you know, but that's the best part. You want to do something that's challenging. I was just telling you, I went to St. Viator in Arlington Heights, St. Viator High School, and I went there for hockey, and we wanted to win state, and we didn't. And now years later, they just won last night. So those kids went through a really, really tough season, and they fought like heck to make that happen. So, and that's something that they'll remember for the rest of their lives.
Well, and you just made us remember, right? That was the quote, embrace the suck. Right.
Yeah,
So from Joe Madden and
one of
and
them.
our and
There
our
was
yeah,
another
yeah.
pressure one, but all right,
Yeah. So,
I'll get back to you on it.
no, I love it. I love it. Well, look, certainly love having entrepreneurs on the Go4CEO podcast. I think there's so many angles that we've come up with today, and the ways that you've shared. And I'll tell you, I mean, I think this is where someone watches a video of you or a podcast of you or listens to you and goes, "Man, David's a really cool dude. Like he is just a genuinely good person. He's interested in what I need to say." And people get attracted to it. And that's why I love doing the podcast too, because it gives a voice. Like you said, maybe you don't feel as comfortable in the public speaking scenario. I'm actually a ham. I'm one of those rare ones. I love it. I feed off of it. There is a technique. If you take your fingers like this, it's the most nerve endings that you have, and your feet too. But your fingers like this before you speak, that's a big one. And then taking deep breaths. And then you take a deeper breath after that deep breath and try to max it out and then go slowly out, and you'll see your nervous system come down. It's
Ah,
crazy. It's been something that I've
thanks for
used
that.
because
Yeah.
it's not like I don't get nervous just because I super love, enjoy speaking. But it's some of those things that some of the greats I've learned from either watching them, not because they were my friends or anything, but watching them and hearing what they were saying. So one of the things I love with that podcast about this podcast, right, is learning from you guys and getting to kind of feedback. And now I've got 300-400 videos that I can go back to and be like, oh, I remember when David 2 years ago said this. I'm gonna go watch his video, right, and stuff like that. So, all right. Well, look, In the GO4CEO podcast, we like to end with CEO, right? So client experience, engagement, and I'll talk you through that one. And then O for operational excellence. So even as an entrepreneur, I'm sorry, an intrapreneur, you take these qualities and these virtues of CEO into the marketplace when you're doing things and bringing on clients. So from a client experience, if you think about it from Insperity to the back office to you front facing with the client, what does that look like from a value proposition standpoint? So talk us through 30, 60 seconds of what are you trying to do for that client to experience coming to do business with you?
They can sleep at night knowing that all of the administration and compliance is buttoned up and done for them, and they can put it on their mind and they can focus on their product or service and generating revenue for the company and do what they were in business to do and not get bogged down with non-revenue generating tasks. That's what we do. I'll share this too. Market differentiator. We're not the only ones that sell HR, believe it or not. Uh, uh, but the ones that are more attracted to us is because we are a premium service, meaning that we're proactive. So they can also task us with very specific tasks around coming up with a better strategy on organizational like maybe an org chart or performance management. Like what are some different ways that I can drive employee engagement and get folks to um, put forth discretionary effort? I've got, maybe 5 all-stars. How do I turn that into 10, 15, 20 all-stars? How do I get everybody to be bought in to our mission, vision, and values? So we can actually help with strategy as well, not just the tactical.
Sweet. Well, you wrapped it up with a nice bow. So, David, I love asking this particular question because everybody has given me literally 350 different answers because everybody's different. We're all human beings. But I used to say employee engagement, but what I actually asked the last probably couple hundred times is engagement. So, how does David Horbenko like to engage clients, back office, family, all that type of stuff? Like, are you a man, let's go break bread together. Let's go have a meal. Let's go have a drink. Let's go to a Hawks game. What are the ways that you like to engage so people will recognize that in you?
Depends on who you're reaching out to, right? Some people don't want to do those things and hang out, but I like doing what, like you said, breaking bread, going to a Hawks game, etc. But that's just not possible to do with everybody, and also
Well,
a
this is
lot
about you. I want this one to be about you. So
of
tell us what you enjoy most and how
oh,
you really resonate with engaging.
100%. Breaking bread, Cubs game, Hawks game. Those are going to be my three favorites, and maybe a round of golf too.
Okay. All right. I love it. I love it. So, all right, last one is operational excellence, right? You've mentioned a couple times, hey, jot down this, put it into a database of that. So, what are some of the tools that you guys use or you personally use? Maybe you've taken some things now over the last 7 years of your own ownership of an app that you really like compared to your competitors or your colleagues. What are some things internally and you personally that are using to keep you operationally excellent?
Internally, great tools is for me is we've got a great Salesforce system set up, and that was definitely more custom built for Insperity, which we invested a lot of money into, and then just general tools like Zoom Info. I mean, you got to know that stuff and use AI. It's not going away. You got to use it. I use it every day, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude Bot, which I'm learning right now, and I'm actually working on today. There's a lot of tools out there, and so you gotta. I mean, we almost made it without talking about AI. Sorry, John, but like it's important. And then the other thing is, if you are out there and maybe in our role, um, you got to utilize LinkedIn. And I bought into it in 2020 when I had 1,500 connections. And I knew, when the pandemic hit, I was only 6, 8 months into Insperity at the time. This was going to be a challenge because we're definitely more of an in-person solution. So selling it over the phone or over Zoom didn't really, of course, we do that now, but at that time, you didn't really think that that was possible. So I just started posting consistently, and I grew my following from 1,500 to over 10,000 today. So I utilize LinkedIn and then by extension, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, Salesforce, Zoom Info, everything I can get my hands on in terms of AI is the most helpful for me.
I love it. I love it. And you gave such a master class on the human level side of things that AI really didn't come up, but I appreciate you bringing it up because last probably 10 interviews, there's always been AI talked about. And I think, like you said, if we are not intentionally using the tool, I just met for dinner with a gentleman that has been in the business 20 years, building AI agents, right? And AR, AP, invoicing, those mechanisms to create an actual AI agent. And what I thought was like, oh, well, can't everybody just do that right now? No, actually not. And he's not he's typically in the enterprise level, so 100 million middle market. They're spending the big money to install these. But what about the SMB, right? The under 100 million, and that's kind of the conversation I had with him, and we're working on some things that we'll probably unveil in the future. So, but no, thank you so much for coming on the Go4CEO channel, David. What's the best way to get a hold of you? You've mentioned LinkedIn a bunch of times. Is there an email? Would you want to share your phone number? Anything that would make sense for someone to reach out to you if they see this video and they're like, "Man, I want to do business with David," or just reach out to you as a networking, person with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. It's DM me, LinkedIn, David Horbenko, or david.horbenko@insperity.com is also my email.
Awesome, brother. Well, hey, any final words as far as just from an entrepreneur mindset, a guy that's built something pretty valuable? Because I know that there's residuals and we didn't get a chance to go through some of that stuff, but you chose an industry where you get paid for what you've done a while back, and that's a cool scenario too. But any last wisdom for someone that's an entrepreneur, a young cat, young girl, someone that's older that maybe thinks like, man, I've been stuck in this industry. Oh man, I should look at HR or this industry. Any wisdom on that side?
Find something that excites you and make sure that you are learning something every day and consistently growing. And then once you're in that role, and if you genuinely like it, yeah, I would go back to be interested, be curious, ask questions, learn, and at the end of every week, just make sure you can look back and say, "Boy, I learned something today," or "I went through a challenge that allowed me to grow." Even if it was drill it down to a daily thing. I went to the gym today and I did not feel like going to the gym. Boom, win. So stack wins and do it on a daily basis. Whatever it is, whether it's personal or professional.
Win the day, baby. So I'll do a shameless plug. Grab my book, Go for Show Community, and people that are just watching and listening on our Spotify channels and the other channels, the audio, the 4A formula, untangle any challenge and think like a CEO. I had CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs, give their wisdom into this book, my own stories. And by the way, subscribe to the channel, be a part of this community. Guys like David Horbenko are dropping massive knowledge, so let's grow this community together. So thanks so much for being on the Go for CEO channel, David.
Yeah, thank you, John.